Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, September 9th. Got a packed show again today. A lot of stuff to break down today. Jeff Bezos, a movie review, Call of Duty Vanguard, my fantasy team. The NFL is back. Got to get super excited for this because football's back, right? It's been advertised, it's been shown off. They got commercials, you got promotions, you got ads, and it kind of got me to thinking, like, today's world is full of ads. Whether it be a short ad, like a 5-second ad on YouTube, 15-second that you could skip after 5 seconds, full-blown commercial that's 30 seconds on TV or on YouTube, or Hulu, or another streaming service that actually has ads. I always hate those, It's like, here's your price, $5.99, in small fine print, with ads. You're like, oh, jeez. And then without ads, it's like $29.99. You're like, oh, no, I'll deal with the ads. You always think to yourself, like, there's nothing that they can advertise me that I'm gonna actually buy. You know that? Whether it's like some kind of insurance, or like I already got car insurance, whether it's like another credit card, or it's like, it's something at Subway, McDonald's. You're like, is this really going to actually make me go and buy their product? And I think today's ads are incredibly weak in their presentation, their hook, their message sometimes, their approach. It's not like how it used to be. Because I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. And back then, ads, even before then, before my time, they were much more creative. They looked like they had a lot of effort into them. They looked like they had a lot of more personality than you see nowadays. More creativity. Now, I know that I might be boring you about this conversation about ads, but it's really like pretty much like we see these things, hear them even too. Like if you listen to a podcast, what do they usually have? Like you listen to whatever podcast you listen to, and they have an ad. Not this one yet. Hopefully someday. They'll give you an ad for whether it's like a mattress, a supplement, vitamins, liquid IV. I've heard. A diet. A food service, a I already said a mattress, but like another like home service, like a Squarespace.com. Again, not a sponsor, but just giving out examples of what you might hear on a podcast. And now that shifts to YouTube, whether you see like Gene ads, Google ads, a phone, insurance, it just keeps going and going and going. And like they hope and pray that whatever you see hooks you enough to buy their product. Now, lately for me, it just doesn't happen. Maybe it happens to you, maybe somebody else that you know. And then there's even ads like on, I remember like when Snapchat introduced like their new like page of like news and what's happening, you would like, try to skip through like the news and articles and whatever, and it would pop like a mandatory ad. For 5 seconds, you can't skip it, and you just like, whatever they're trying to sell, and you just skip forward. But what my point is that today's ads are kind of iffy. They're not as creative. Now, I was on YouTube one day just looking up. I got recommended this video. I don't even know how you get recommended this, but I got recommended 1996 commercials and advertisements. A video about like maybe like 30 minutes long, got a lot of, views, lots of upvotes of just like nostalgic commercials that you would see within the time frame of 1996. And then I was 3 years old at that time, so I wasn't like watching TV and paying attention to what the ads were about until you watch it, and then you're like, oh wow, I kind of remember this product, or I remember this movie coming out, or I remember this game or this TV show back in the day. I remember it. It's like seeing it, and I didn't actually watch it, but like one of my favorite ads is like it's an ad for like a new, longer-lasting chewing gum, and the whole premise of it is like, how do we advertise that this gum it lasts longer, it tastes better, and you don't got to keep switching out gums or changing or spitting out the old gum and putting in a new piece of gum, right? And the whole thing about it is like this scientist, this astronomer, is watching the sky and waiting for this meteor to pass by that only happens every 75 years. And they're very close to it. And I remember, like, he's like chewing his gum, and there's a narrator saying, like, the scientist is chewing his gum waiting for the meteor to pass by. But his gum runs out of flavor. So he quickly reaches for another stick of gum, looks away from the sky, reaches for the gum, and then the meteor passes by, and then all those other scientists that were watching it saw it, except for the one that was, like, waiting so long to see it. He misses it, and then the commercial's like, you want longer-lasting gum? Try this new spearmint, red label, whatever it was called. I don't even remember, but it was like, and then it showed, like, the scientist all sad, and, like, other ones like, you can wait another 75 years to see it again. And then it was just like, well, I mean, that is more creative, it's funny, and it gets the point across very quickly. And I'm like, that's a good ad. That's funny, and I enjoyed that. I might actually want to buy that gum more. And look at today's ads, and you see, like, one of the most memorable ads that I see is, like, State Farm. Right? Chris Paul, doing his thing, being an all-star basketball player, and then Jake from State Farm coming in, like, it's more of just, like, it's like recognition with the jingle now, and, like, who it is, and that, oh, that's just State Farm. But you never really listen to, like, what they say. Like, for me, I always just like, oh, it's Chris Paul and Jake from State Farm. Like, you actually kind of like Jake from State Farm now because he's just so, that's all they focus on is just Jake from State Farm, and you just know that he's from State Farm. But you never really listen to, like, what he's actually trying to say to you. Like, you can save this much on your insurance or whatever. Like, that always blows by my head. I just know that it's Chris Paul and Jake from State Farm. And I'm just like, okay, like, I just know them from State Farm, but I don't know what they're trying to sell me, really, because, like, it's almost like I get distracted now by the fact that there's Chris Paul in it and Jake from State Farm. And they got Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers and all that, the other people that I can't remember their names, Cliff Paul back in the day, Steph Curry for a while. Like, I just remembered the people in the commercial, not what they were trying to sell me. Or the insurance or whatever it may be. And I think that that's kind of happening with other commercials as well. Like, especially like the AT&T commercials. They got this actress in it. She's known for movies and all that. Or Flo. Like, I don't even know. Like, Flo sells, like, car insurance, I think. But I just know her as Flo or Jamie from Progressive. And it's like, I just kind of know the ads by the people in it now. I don't really know, like, there's no creative hook to it of what they're trying to sell me as much as there used to be. And it just kind of gets like, it all just kind of meshes into, like, I know the ad because of the people in the ad, not what they're trying to sell me. I don't know. It's just like something that I thought of, and, like, watching that video, I was just like, you know what? I don't know many of these people in these ads at all, but, like, they're doing a good job to sell me on the product. Like, I remember, like, there was another one, it was a Taco Bell commercial about, like, people just, like, driving in the desert and eating Taco Bell. Like, actually eating Taco Bell, like, tacos and burritos and all that. They got this catchy jingle of, like, Taco Bell is so unique and all that. It's, Taco Bell is so something like that. And I was just like, that is, I mean, like, I don't know these people in it, but I'm getting the gist of what it's about. They love eating Taco Bell. And it makes me want to get Taco Bell. Or there was another commercial about, like, the taco neck, and it had Shaquille O'Neal in it. Now, I get it that, like, Shaquille O'Neal back then in the day in the 90s was like, oh, it's, he's high profile, he's a very good basketball player, he's got a lot of popularity, but also, like, it kind of wanted you to, it made me want to get Taco Bell because of the taco neck thing. Like, you know how you have to, like, lean your neck or turn your neck a little bit to eat a taco? Because, it's like a hot dog kind of thing. You eat it, you turn your neck and eat it. Well, he was suffering from taco neck from eating so many Taco Bell tacos that they had a new, a new product, which was like this new kind of burrito where you don't got to do that with your neck. You can just eat it like, how you would eat a burrito. You don't got to twist your neck or whatever. And that was how they, advertised their new burrito. And I thought that, okay, that's clever and it's funny. And now I want that burrito because I'm already sold on the Taco Bell thing. But now I want to try that new burrito. It's just like, it made it more sense. It was, it happened, it was quick, but it was like, I need that burrito now. Like, I want to try that now because Shaq's in it, but it's not all about Shaq. He doesn't really, like, not because they're not selling it because of Shaq. It's creative. And it was funny. I'm like, yeah, I can dig that. I can dig that. Like, I just want ads to be more creative again. Like, they gotta work now for me to buy their thing, because nowadays, if you go to like YouTube, even too, like when there can be even shorter ads, like there's a 5-second ad of State Farm, and all it is just their jingle. Like there'll be maybe like Jake is like getting a suntan by a pool, and then just out of nowhere, bum 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 bum, the jingle, and then that's it. It's like you're not even trying now. You're just filling up the ad space to hopefully that I will want to buy your insurance. But it's like that isn't enough now. That's even worse now. Like it's almost like you're wasting my time now. Now it's just for like, I've just seen that for like State Farm, where it's like very bare minimum of like advertising. But I feel like they need a little bit more than that to make people want to buy your insurance. I don't know. It just feels like insurance, is that really like, I mean, obviously everybody should have like car insurance and all that or whatever, but it's like, I don't know if that's enough for like people to sign up by the masses to get State Farm insurance. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but I mean, I'm not an expert on that. It's just, if you're going to target me on that, it didn't work. It didn't work. But, like, again, maybe we just got to change the format, the formula or whatever. Like, maybe it's just got to be a little bit different, a little bit more eye-popping. The Super Bowl always kind of brings you back to those times where an ad could be wacky, have character, and actually work. Like, I think it's because, like, TV ratings are so down nowadays, and they're just not as, people just watch more streaming, YouTube, and they don't have as much cable, nowadays. So maybe they got to get more creative, or they don't put as much effort because they know that a lot of people aren't watching TV per se. And when the Super Bowl comes around, like people, they know that they're going to be watching the TV. People are going to be watching it for sure. And then that's when they go all out on their ads and like, okay, we got to make it creative. We got to make it stand out more, maybe funnier. And whenever you watch a Super Bowl commercial, it always takes me back to like those older ads when they were funnier and they did their job. They got you hooked, and they were just, enjoyable to watch. Like, make me an ad that I like watching, that I enjoy watching. Then I might buy your product. Then I might invest in it, do some research, see what it's all about, get some eyeballs on it, tell people about it. Because the best advertising of all time is the word of mouth of people. It just is. Every time you can throw every commercial at it, an infomercial, a 5-second ad, 15-second ad. There's nothing better than word of mouth. It never fails. And it's kind of like, it just, you connect more. When you hear people talk about it, an actual person, not a spokesman, not an executive, but an actual person that you know and trust, you're friends with it, they tell you about it, it just feels more like I'd be more willing to look into it than to just, see it and like, okay, bye, see you ad, whatever. That's just how I feel. That's how I've always felt. I think that's how, like, at the end of the day, that's how people can, that's the best advertising. Word of mouth is king, and I think it always will be king. Now we're going to move on to the news section. Now, I didn't think that I was going to, I never expected this. I never really thought that this would be a thing, but, when you have all this money, why not? Why not? The former CEO of Amazon, you all know him, Jeff Bezos, is trying to stop the aging process and is now beginning to hire startup company. I think it's called Altos. It's a company that he's starting up with another billionaire, a Russian billionaire, I think it is. And they're trying to, plucking scientists from all over the globe to try to crack the code on how to, reverse age people. Now, he didn't say that it was for him, but he's just, he's in the market to find scientists he's going to pay them handsomely. I think I saw like $1 million a year for their salary. Like that's a ton of money for like, somebody to be researching something that, might not be possible in the near future. I mean, like, think about it. Like, that is like how do you defeat Father Time? Like, he's actually trying to figure out how to stop people or reverse aging. Like, how does that even possible? How do you do that there's time that makes us older, I guess, and it's also like, maybe the environment can also do that too, but like, how does that? I'm confused, Jeff. I really am, but kudos to him. He's got all the time in the world. He's no longer the CEO of Amazon. He's trying to go to space, whether that be actual legit space or not. He's trying to get up there. He got a ton of money. These are his passion projects of, like, I guess, space travel and, I guess, everlasting life. But it's like, it just kind of screams a red flag of, like, this is not a good thing to do. This is not a good scientific thing. But again, this is all his money that he's using. This is his own thing. It's a private thing. He can do whatever he wants, basically. But I think that when you read the headline, you're like, oh, this is kind of, you're almost like playing God at some point. It's like, do we really want to stop people from aging? I don't know if that's just like, that's mind-blowing science and mind-blowing breakthroughs in the world of, like, everybody ages and everybody gets old and everybody dies. Now you're going to prevent that? Like, how does that even work? Like, I read like it was going to be like, how do we stop the cells themselves from aging? Like, how does that going to work? We got to, like, it's almost like we got to, like, try to, like, create or reprogram how our cells age and all that. And, like, whether it's like a drug or whatever, like, or an experiment with, like, an embryos or whatever. I don't even know, like, the details of it, because it's so vague whenever you read about it. It's just like he's trying to invest in, he's putting in money for it. He's already got like $200 million in it, and this company called Altos. He's plucking scientists all over the globe, and it's his passion project, and it's his own thing. He doesn't say, like, if he's going to use it himself. I'm sure he will, though. I mean, like, why would he not? He is the richest man in the world, and, like, lately, like, he's been, like, on, I don't really pay attention that much to Jeff Bezos' personal life, whether it's, like, press conference or, like, an interview or whatever, like, after he was, like, went to, quote-unquote space or whatever. Like, I remember seeing, like, a video of him, like, controlling these, like, remote control arms, and he did this very strange, like, laugh that he did. Like, it was almost like a comic book supervillain in a way, and I was like, oh boy, that does sound a bit, that's a weird laugh. And they were comparing to, like, a supervillain laugh. Like, I don't know if I'll reach it that far. Then he kind of laughed at the after he came back from space with a cowboy hat. He did his laugh again. I'm like, okay, well, he's just going to space now. Like, he can go to space, or quote unquote space, for whatever, whatever the, however high he went, where you draw the line of what's space and what's not space. I don't know, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. But, there's a lot of people saying on Twitter and on social media and, actual science articles that he did not reach space. He just reached high orbit. I don't know. This is what I'm hearing. There's a lot of fucking points and views and other scientists, what they say, and everybody, like, I don't know. I have no idea. But, that's fine. Space travel's fine. Like, Elon Musk is doing that. Jeff Bezos, obviously NASA. I'm sure there's other private companies all over the world that are doing space travel, right? And I'm all for that. Space travel, for me, is, I think, what we should be focusing on, for future technologies, whether that be better rockets, better aircraft, better space shuttle type things, or, like, other machines that can get us to space, satellites, rovers, space station types of things. Like, how do we explore more of the beyond when it comes to space? How do we do that in a more efficient way, costly way, not as dangerous? That's kind of like where I want to, like, progress as a species, and for humanity to do that. When you kind of start, like, manipulating your DNA, like your ability to age and to stop aging, that's where I'm like, because it is such a new thing, and I've never heard of that before. Like, only in, like, movies like super sci-fi movies, how they can stop aging, or even, like, fantasy like that. Like, I draw the line there. I get scared because it's like, now you're experimenting on people. And this is such a could be a monumental change in how we live our lives. It's like, this is going to be the most expensive thing possibly ever, and it might not. It's so on a microscopic level of how this works. Flying in rockets is big and mechanical, and you can kind of like put money into it. You're not really putting people's lives in too much danger, right? You're like, they are building them, they're testing them and all that, but it's not like you're working on somebody's cells and how to prevent them from aging and how to prevent them from deteriorating. Like that to me, that's like, oh, like that's like, it's almost like Jurassic Park in a way. Like we should not bring back dinosaurs, right? It'd be very, very cool, and I would love to see them. But in reality, you're like, no, like this just shouldn't happen. Essentially you're playing God, and I don't know if like he can do whatever he wants. He's earned that right to. But it's like, I don't know if I'm like gonna do this. I mean, probably can't. Like honestly, like nobody's gonna be able to like actually do this unless you're like filthy rich like this guy. But it's like it ponders your mind of like the capabilities and like if this is actually possible, like, we can actually stop people from aging. That's like, to me, that's just kind of amazing in a way. If they can actually do that, and I know what I said, it's playing God. You can't deny the fact that it is going to be an incredible breakthrough in like just how we live our lives. Like, I mean, it does seem at first you look at it from a surface, you're like, I don't think people should do this, because I don't think if we were like designed to live this long. I say designed, but I'm like, we aren't meant to live that long. It's just like, and what about organs, like organ failure or like other things like that, brain and all that? Is it going to affect everything? Like, how does that even work? Like, there's so much to think about in that one article, and it's not even much on it. It's like, it's very, very brief, but it gets your mind going of the possibilities of it, and like the human ethics and the is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I really don't know. I would say no, because it does seem like a very super villainy thing that he wants to do, because it is Jeff Bezos doing it, and he is the richest man in the world. But it's like, I don't know. It could benefit a lot of people. But it's like, I mean, do you really want to live that long? Like, do you really want to live like to like see so many other people die and like things change in politics and all that? I don't know if I would want to live that long anyway. It just seems bizarre and crazy and just super unappealing to me. So that's where I'm kind of at on that. Like, Jeff Bezos, do whatever you want, bro. Like, do whatever you've earned it. You've made that money to do it. You're no longer the CEO of Amazon. You're doing your thing. You're using your money for what you want to. I mean, I give you that's a good thing. I mean, you've achieved the peak of the, I guess, American dream, you could say, when you can do whatever you want because of the money that you've made. But it's like, maybe take a step back. I mean, I would say, like, think of, like, that great quote in Jurassic Park. I'm referencing that a lot today, but, like, so here's the quote right here. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not that they didn't stop to think if they should. Like, we can do this, but should we do it? Is it gonna, but again, it's all like what you think. It's what you think is better for the world or for you. And that it's like, how is that affecting other people? It's all what you think, really. And that's really what everything else is. Like, every decision that you make is how you think. There's always this is good quote, like, a good villain in a movie doesn't think that he's a villain. Or a good villain in general. Like, he doesn't think that he's not a good villain, but a bad person, whether it be in a movie, TV, or real life. They don't think that they're bad. They think that what they're doing is good. And that it's helping people. It's benefiting people. They're making lives better. But then there's another side that's like, that's bad. We can't have that person doing that. But no person thinks that no bad person, like no villain, thinks that what they are doing is bad, right? Like Darth Vader thought that he was doing something good for the galaxy. But Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia were like, no, this is bad. And I'm not saying that Jeff Bezos is going to be Darth Vader, but it's like, it all depends on how you view it and how they view it and whether or not they should do it just because that they can do it. Like we could probably bring back I mean, they clone sheep, right? They've cloned a sheep, but should we really clone sheep? Is that humane? I kind of think like, I don't think that we should. It's just, I mean, I don't know how that process goes. I'm just talking off the top of my head, but I'm like, maybe we shouldn't clone animals like that. I don't know if it hurts. I don't even know if they feel anything. I don't know any of that process, but I'm like, that just kind of scares me. It's like, well, what else can they clone? And how does that even work? Like, do they just clone like the embryo or whatever? Or they actually clone like an actual sheep? They put a sheep in in a room, and then in the other room it's like a little like lightning storm, and then boom, a sheep pops out of there. Like, I have no idea how that even works. But it just kind of scares me that we have that capability and that power to do it. I don't know, man. Very, very, very crazy world that we live in. Very crazy world. A lot of stuff happening that the public, like me and you, have no idea how it actually works. It's crazy. Like cloning a sheep, I don't know how that actually works. I could probably try to find it, but like, I guarantee you, Google's not going to have like the finite science on how to actually clone a sheep. That's just like, you got to go to school and pay for that. You're not going to find that on Google or Yahoo or even Bing. Nowhere is going to have that. How do you clone a sheep? Google that. This is not going to have that. You got to go actually, try and go into genetic cloning, get into that. I don't even know what that is. It's so crazy. It's weird. We're moving on a bit from the news and heading into something a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more your speed, my speed in particular. I'm a big movie guy. Went to the movies this weekend, saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, at first, by the way, I want to make this very clear. I have not seen a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie since the latest Spider-Man, Far From Home. I have not seen Black Widow, but I have seen WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. By the way, I have not seen Black Widow. So this is the first Marvel movie that I've seen in theaters since Spider-Man Far From Home. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let's talk about it. Let's go over. Now, I don't know if anybody of you have seen it. I don't plan to spoil the movie at all. So just letting you know, there's not going to be any spoilers in here. It's going to be spoiler-free. You don't got to worry about anything. If you want to check it out, I suggest you check it out. If you're interested, if you like the Marvel MCU, if everything that you've seen is like golden and you love it, even if you're just like on the edge of maybe I won't like it, maybe I will like it, maybe if somebody wants to take you to go see it, go and see it. Because I think that it's only in theaters right now. It's not on Disney Plus. That will be happening within I think 45 days. It will be on Disney Plus, but right now it's only in theaters. And I hope that when you do watch it though, that your theater is not low in the volume department. Because the one that I saw, miraculously, the volume was super low. And it kind of takes you out of the movie a bit. Now, shame on that theater. I will not name names, but that was not a good experience. That theater has had pretty good experiences, but this one in particular was very bad. Just the quality of the sound. It does take you out of the movie. If you can hear somebody clear as day right next to you laughing, and not like a loud laugh, but a very small, squeaky, chuckly laugh, like when it's like when you shouldn't be hearing them, then there's a problem with the theater's audio. Anyway, this review is not going to be hindered by that unfortunate circumstance, but it's not going to have that. It's going to be flat out fair, honest review of Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. So let's start by this. The characters, how are they? They're good. I enjoy them. They're they're fun. They're relatable. They got day-to-day jobs, as you've seen in the trailer. The typical hero origin story type of story. Like, there's always the person who's like, doesn't fit in, or they don't, like, they're, in a predicament, or they have like these struggles that we can all relate to, and then that's how they're born and how everybody can be a hero and all that. And I enjoy that story quite a bit. I really do. And then also great mythology in the movie. It's not like any other MCU movie. At times when I was, even like the filmmaking at the beginning, like the first like 20 minutes, you're like, this does not feel like an MCU movie at all. And I'm enjoying it. Like, I like that. I enjoy this part of it. And it caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, this feels nothing like your typical MCU movie yet. Yet, I say. And it's also got great world building of, like, because you got to get introduced to Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings, how that mythology all kind of wraps into the MCU, how this happens, how they end up with, who they end up with at the end. Obviously, if you've seen the poster even, our main boy, Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, gets the Ten Rings. I mean, it's in every trailer, it's in every poster. That is not a spoiler. And how those rings are, they interact with the MCU, other characters, and like, other people. If you've also seen the trailer, you know that my boy Wong from Doctor Strange is another wizard, so he's going to be in the movie as well. But just to add on, it does a good job of world building, the mythology, how the Ten Rings have become what they are, who they end up with, and I think that they did a good job about that. The action sequences are very good. Again, like, if you can tell by this movie, it's very inspired by Asian cinema, kung fu movies, kung fu choreography, kung fu filmmaking. I really enjoyed that for the most part. I mean, in the trailer, you can see that there's going to be a fight on a bus station, on a bus in San Francisco. That fight is so sick. There's a couple of other fights that are really, really good choreography-wise, filming-wise, filmmaking-wise. It's really good. Like, they did a good job of differentiating their kung fu style fighting with other MCU fighting. Like, if you would take like Civil War or like the Avengers Infinity War, like, it's very brash and very epic fighting. This is not as epic, I would say, in the scale, but it is very entertaining. Like, or you can take like Winter Soldier vibes, when it's like the fighting is almost like a Bourne Identity movie, or like Jason Bourne fighting somebody else. Very fast cut, fast paced. I typically like that fighting style better, because like when you get long over dragged out shots of fighting, you can kind of tell in some movies if they do it well, or if they don't do it as well, you can tell that they're faking it. Obviously, they're not really fighting when they're making the movie, but you can kind of tell that a little bit more if like they do longer takes and they do wide shots, and you can tell that they're not actually hitting anybody. But this movie, for the most part, wasn't as choppy or as fast-paced or fast-cutting as a Bourne Identity movie or the Winter Soldier type of movie, but they did it very, very well. They made it so like they're not super long takes, but they're not ultra quick takes. It was like a mixture between that type of filmmaking, and I thought that they did it well. I didn't call no bullshit on any of the fighting scenes. I thought they did it well, and they did it. It was fun. It was a good pace and all that, and that's throughout the movie for the most part. That it was very, very good. There's a couple scenes where at the very end there's going to be, it's a Marvel movie, so you're going to get like a big finale fight, or it gets a little bit more CGI, which I do, typically I've been very critical about the MCU's use of CGI in, some parts, because this movie does have a little bit of a CGI glaring CGI, where you can tell that it is obviously fake. It's obviously not there. It looks kind of bad in some areas, and it looks kind of like, just not, what's the word, perfected, or not super sharp. And that's just how it's been in every MCU movie, except the big ones like in Infinity War and Endgame, where those look spot on the entire time. But yeah, that's kind of a gripe. The humor in the movie, honestly, for me, was a bit of a miss. Aquafina's in the movie. She's great. I enjoyed her character. She was the comic relief character, which I have no problem with. I think that it was done very well in some parts, but other parts with her, I feel like her comedy kind of like distracts you from what is actually happening in the movie. And to an extent, you would like that, but I think that in some areas in the movie, when it wanted it to get more serious and more emotional, it kind of gets cut short because of that. And I think that it just doesn't work in this movie as well. I mean, there's a scene it's not a spoiler, but there's a scene he's telling us backstory of himself and his struggles and all that, and then it just kind of stops to an abrupt halt because of a joke that she makes, and it's not her fault. It just seemed out of no wait, it wasn't even Aquafina. It was somebody else, another character that just kind of ruins the moment. It's just was that really needed? It wasn't even an actual character. It was a flight attendant, or it's this joke does not work. It just doesn't work for me. And it ended a good part, a good scene that was giving us backstory that we need in the movie, because again, Shang-Chi is a new character, and it was just kind of a miss for me. It takes you out of the movie a bit. But that's how Marvel does it. Still, they still do it they kind of like to break the tension in the movie, which is fine. But I feel in I believe it's year 13 of the MCU. I'm kind of over it, honestly. I want them to kind of break that. I enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy humor a lot more, and I kind of wish that they did that more than this kind of oh, we have a good scene, a very serious scene, but let's just end it with a joke. Kind of over that, to be honest with you. You might call me sour, you might call me old or boring, but I don't. I just kind of feel it's been done so many times. Let's get a better comedic flow here. Maybe change it up a bit. But they're gonna do what they want to do. That's fine. It doesn't destroy the movie if you think that I'm making it out to be. It just kind of in some cases it's that just doesn't need to be there. And I've said that with other movies in the past, Shazam. I love Shazam, but there's just some points when it's just cut the jokes, please. There's just too many. I want it to be a little bit more serious. I know Shazam is a jokey character, but you don't got to make the movie all about jokes. I separate the character from the overall movie. Don't make it just about. It's got to be funny, right? People enjoy funny, but they also enjoy seriousness. They want to have the stakes higher. They want to know things. And if you can tell them in a serious way and actually get them to think about it and actually appreciate the character and like it, don't steal that with a cheesy, cheap joke. I mean, again, this is just my opinion, but I feel it just happens so much in the MCU that it's just it's kind of predictable, and it's oh, they did it again. Great, whatever. But again, it doesn't destroy the movie. It's just a gripe that I have with most of the humor in this movie is just kind of interruptive and just it doesn't work for me. The build up to the end of the movie, the big Grinelli third act fight, which there is, you can probably tell by the trailer that is going to be there is a big fight. It does kind of seem that this movie just kind of follows what the MCU has always done about these solo movies and the big grand finale fight. It just seems it's very predictable. It's very for me, underwhelming a bit. They gotta find this thing to do this thing to get that thing to fight that thing. It's a blueprint that they've had for like I said, 13 years, I believe is when the first movie came out. So it's cool. I mean, you do it well, but it's I've seen this so many times. I'm bored of it. I want you to do something new. I know it is an origin story. You got to get the new characters in, but maybe, I don't know, try something a little bit different. I don't know. I'm sounding more and more, like I'm complaining, but it's after 13 years, man, and you're putting out these new movies, and you're I just want more. That's all I want. And a little bit more different. Just more different and new. And a little bit more from you. But, the fight at the end is pretty predictable of what's going to happen. You kind of already know what's who has to win, just because you've seen Marvel movies since 2008. And again, the movie does kind of suffer again, especially in the third act, of just CGI and making the really cool fights at the beginning, the really cool bus sequence, and then another sequence down the road of him in a fighting pit. You kind of take away and just make it very fantastical, which is cool in some parts. But if it's just all gonna be that, I mean, I kind of just want him to be fist fighting some dude at the end of the movie. That just be more intimate it'd be more impactful. I think it would resonate better with like the audience and all that. It would be, I don't know. I just feel like it does a very, in a way, just kind of like CGI fest at the end. And I remember it was kind of comparable to the one in Black Panther, because Black Panther throughout the movie was just amazing. Like the energy in it, the CGI was doing very well, or they had a very good CGI spread out in the movie. And at the very end, it was just a big CGI fest. And at some points, it just looks like super fake. And like, oh my God, like this is it's on the verge of looking bad. And in this movie, it didn't get that bad, I thought. But like some points, it's like there's just so much CGI going on. Like I don't even care about like what's happening to Shang-Chi. Like come on, like get over it yourself, please. But again, all in all, good movie, decent movie, more than decent movie, enjoyable movie. It's got a good story. It's got good characters. The father, played by Tony Leung, I think his name is, who plays Shang-Chi's dad, is very good in the movie. In my opinion, very compelling. You get a lot of his backstory. You figure out what he's all about, his motivations and all that. He might have been the scene stealer for me in this movie. Like I do enjoy Shang-Chi and Simu Liu's performance, but I think that the father, let me get his name right because I don't want to butcher it that much. Tony Chu Wei Lung, I believe is how you pronounce it. His character as Zhu Wenu, I don't know how to pronounce these. I'm so sorry, but the father in the movie is a very good character. I just want to know more. I wanted to know more about him. And we got a lot about it, but it's just like this guy is so good in this movie. His performance is great. His motivation is like there. I can kind of I see why he goes down this path, and it's just like I enjoyed that a lot. I thought it was very, very good. There is another character in it that I will not talk about, but I thought that did not need to be in this movie. And it's kind of a spoiler, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But I was just like, when he popped up on the screen, I was like, oh no. And I was like, I'm okay with this little bit that he's in, but then he stuck around. I'm like, no, we don't need this. We don't need this character. I don't want to have this. I was just like, get him out of here, man. This is just not vibing with me. And I was just like, this is a bummer. But it didn't ruin it, because he also got Aquafina, Simu Liu, Tony Luang, Menger Zhang, who plays his sister, who was very, very good. Michelle Yeoh as his aunt. Very good performance, a good cast, overall a good story. Of course, it could be better. They could not have, dug into the traditional, very typical Marvel-y things that I thought that they would have by now kind of gotten rid of and done something different, but they didn't, and it was decent for what it was. It was good for what it was as an origin story. They could have absolutely gone deeper. They could have absolutely gotten more emotional, maybe laid off the comedy a bit more. They could have done a lot more things with it. But overall, it is a solid movie. It is enjoyable. It is very watchable. There are after credit scenes. There are 2 of them, actually, that you should stick around for to see what's going to happen in the future of the MCU and how he all ties into this. And it's a good movie. It's enjoyable. It's watchable. Good characters. It's fun. It's good. And overall, if you saw me on Twitter, I reviewed it. I put up a score. I gave it a 7.4. Hold on. Let me redo that. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I score this movie a 7.4 out of 10. Moving on. Now, you may call me a shill all you want, but I am so excited for Call of Duty Vanguard. Man, I'll tell you this. When the rumors were coming out about it being back to World War II, I was a bit on the fence about it, because I'm like, are people really going to enjoy going back to World War II? Some people are, and a lot of people won't. Maybe it might be more even when it gets to the release date. That might change, but as a fact, you look on YouTube, on Reddit, Twitter, people talking about this game. There's a big people are excited. It's just about a new Call of Duty. There's a general excitement for it. But you can't help that there's going to be people out there who would rather see you go back to modern day, maybe a little bit in the near future, like Battlefield is doing. they don't want to see World War II. And I get it. I absolutely get it. But if you enjoy the I don't want to say if you enjoy World War II, because that's not what I'm trying to advocate or trying to say. But if you enjoy media, whether it be a novel, a book, a video game, a show that is based around World War II, a form of entertainment around World War II like me, and this is going to be for you. But it's not going to be what you think. They've announced that this is not going to be a traditional type of story like you got back in Call of Duty World War II. It's going to be a bit of what I would like to call an offshoot of World War II. You get more of the stuff that you don't really hear about in class or watch a lot in movies and TV shows. You're not going to get the American Normandy campaign in Europe. You're not going to get that. You're going to get more of your other European Western Front. You're going to get the Russian Eastern Front. You're going to get the North African campaign with the Australians. I believe it's the Australians. And you're going to get the American Front in the Pacific, all in one game, in one campaign, from what I can tell from what they were saying on the Call of Duty announcement video, or the game's, like a breakdown of what's going to be in this game, with different characters from different sides of the war, people affected by the war, what they have to do because of the war in other parts of the world. It's kind of like what they did in Battlefield 5, but it looks so much better and so much more entertaining than what they did in Battlefield 5, because I feel like there's just more emotion in this game, more heart to this game, to the characters in this game. I just get that feeling more than what Battlefield did. It's just like out of a gut reaction to what I've been seeing. I just get that more, and I think that it's going to be way more impactful as a campaign than Battlefield's. Way more impactful, and I'm excited because again, I love that time period. Entertainment made in that time period, and I'm going to play it, and I want to see if it's any good. It looks good, but it's like, how good is it? Also, they show off the multiplayer, which I thought looked awesome because, if you can get the engine, the feel, the look of Modern Warfare 2019 and put that into World War II era, ooh, you got me. Like, I am sold, because I've been saying about this, of why I just thought that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 was the look, the feel, the way it moved, the movement, the gunplay. That game had such groundbreaking and fun, smooth, fluid type of gameplay that I loved. And when they put out Black Ops Cold War, I was like, this is just a big downgrade. Now, I play Black Ops Cold War a lot because of the Battle Pass and all that, to try to get as much points as I can because of the new season coming out. And I also kind of enjoy the game because I'm, a lot of games out there, kind of bored when I play video games, and I'm like, what can I play? I'll play COD. It's just like a go-to game for me. Like, I'm just like, am I bored? All right, I'll play COD. But regardless, I love that Modern Warfare engine. I love the look, the feel, and for it to be back in a World War II game, I was so sold. I love the movement, the new additions to mounting, the destructible environment. The blind fire, the sliding is back, the slide canceling is back. The movement is just there, and I'm just excited because this might be really cool, more than what people will say, because I've heard people say the movement and the way that it looks, the way that it feels is why they didn't play much of Black Ops, because it just was so different from Warzone. Also, Warzone is you can't even compare. Warzone, the Battle Royale, just looked better than anything that Black Ops had. It just looks, and the engines just look better. They're completely different. And one of them just looks better than the other. And it all kind of depends on your preference. But for me, I prefer the Modern Warfare type of engine more than Black Ops is. I just do. And I'm excited. They've already have people have been playing the multiplayer beta, and it looks really good. They got a lot of guns, about 30 guns. They got to stick in the restraints of World War II. They can't go too into the future, can't get too crazy. But the thing is, what's really cool is that they're adding an ability to have 10 attachments on your gun. Now, I thought that was just absolutely insane, because in Modern Warfare you can have 5, in Black Ops you can have 8. Now they're putting 10 on. So you can make your gun, every gun that you can make, you can potentially make it like a god gun. It's just going to be insane what you can do with these guns and their attachments and their capabilities. So like I'm excited for that. They also, finally what everybody was wanting, a new Warzone map, which is going to be taking place in the Pacific, which I suggested, not on this podcast, but with my brother, and talking to my brother about like, what if they had like a Pacific type of map that was like lush and tree, and it was like grittier. You felt that gritty feeling to it. What being like a jungle, like that could be so cool. It'd be like Sandhawk and PUBG, but obviously like a Call of Duty version, right? And that's where we're going. Pacific. That map looks sick. The environments look cool. The way you can traverse the map is going to be cool. Just the look overall, like I'm sold, because I'm so sick and tired of Verdansk and playing there. Like it's overstayed its welcome. Like I'm just bored of it now. I'm bored of it. Playing it's fun, but like just the look of the map is like, oh god, this is so old. But they got that there. They put out an anti-cheat. They're putting out an anti-cheat like when it comes out. A little bit disappointed that it's not going to be Warzone. The new Warzone map won't come out when the game launches. It's going to be after that. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But it is coming. We have it confirmed, a new map, anti-cheat. So anybody who hates the cheating, who says that's why they don't play, that should be fixed so you can come back and play. Even though that I agree that their anti-cheat they don't even have one, so it's pretty bad right now. But I mean, like, it should be fixed, and it should be better, and it should, actually make you want to play it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. Again, a Call of Duty World War II game with the Modern Warfare 2019 engine. I mean, sign me up. I'm in. I'm so in. I mean, you couldn't make a game more on brand for Alex than Call of Duty Vanguard. You can't. I mean, maybe if it was like the Normandy campaign, but like I just recently played the World War II campaign. Amazing. A great campaign. Fantastic. If you haven't played it, I'd consider playing it, because it's a really, really, really good story. And the gameplay on like the current gen consoles, I can play it on my Series X. It's really, really good. Like I really enjoyed it, and it was fun. It's a good campaign, decent length campaign. It's very, very good. If you haven't tried it, if you have it, you play the multiplayer. If you didn't finish it, I highly recommend that you finish it, because it gets really good. Like it's a really, really good campaign. I can't show enough about it, but because, I'm already labeled a shill for liking Vanguard, so we'll see. But I'm going to be there day one playing Vanguard. I can't wait. I'm excited. I mean, like I said, you couldn't make a better on-brand game for Alex than Call of Duty Vanguard. I really don't think you can. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. I can't wait, especially for Warzone, the new maps. Again, they're launching with 20 maps at launch, so it's like, I mean, dude, I'm in. I can't wait. November 5th cannot come any faster. Now we're shifting to sports, and we're going to talk about football is around the corner. The first game is today. Cannot wait. Bucks versus the Cowboys. I mean, like, what more could you ask for? I mean, this is what I've been waiting for since the end of the Super Bowl last year. I've been waiting for this, and I think a lot of people are too. If you listen to this and you're a football fan, especially if you're like a Cowboys or a Bucks fan, this is what you're waiting for. For one, how are the defending champs going to do? Is Tom Brady going to be sharp? Is it going to be a good sign, a good showing? Is it going to be like, oh yeah, the champs that's where they're the champs? How are the Cowboys going to do after Dak Prescott getting injured last year, devastating injury, out for the season? How is he going to be? How are the Cowboys going to be? Again, they're still called America's team. Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, again, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, a bunch of other players that, I cannot wait to watch, just to, have football back, right? I am so ready for this. I'm excited. It's I believe it's in Tampa, but I'm blanking on it. It might not be in Tampa, but I'll check right now, because usually it's when I think the defending champions host the first game back. Usually it's going to be Thursday Night Football, and I just can't wait, dude. Like football is finally back, and it starts to kick off. You can kind of it's gonna be in Tampa. The weather changes. Football's coming back. It's hot right now in California, but it's gonna get cooler. It's gonna get much cooler, and I can't wait. I'm excited. But I want to take it back a little bit further. Yesterday, or a couple days ago, was the finale of Hard Knocks, following the Dallas Cowboys. And granted, I thought that what they did with Hard Knocks is that it felt a bit soft in a way, especially for the cut day. Because, and also as a season of Hard Knocks, in my opinion, a little weak. There was a lot of following players and side stories of contacts and mainly contacts and other things I just thought that were they didn't really need to be in Hard Knocks. It wasn't as hard as you thought it would be. More like soft knocks. But overall, as a season, a season of Hard Knocks, following the Dallas Cowboys, one of the biggest, my biggest gripe is that not enough Jerry Jones. You got doses of him, in spurts, but whenever they had him on camera, the way he was speaking in the interviews, and what they had him on, on a hot mic, with him and Mike McCarthy, I just expected more of Jerry Jones in this show, man. Like, we didn't get much drama, really. We got a lot of heartfelt stuff, which is cool, but I wanted more football drama. Right? It will go to a very, dark spot with the drama, but then it would come out so quickly and just go back to heartfelt. Like, bro, this is HBO. This is Hard Knocks. I mean, in the previous Hard Knocks, they were much harder. Like, just to kind of spoil it if you haven't seen it yet, but the cutting segment in this one is incredibly soft because everybody's going to be on the practice squad because it just shows you a room of everybody who's been cut, who didn't make the 53-man roster. And before, it would be dramatized. It would have a phone ring. You wouldn't see who it was until they walked into the office, and then they would have a chat about their future. Maybe they might get claimed. There'd be a lot more emotion. This one was kind of like a letdown in a way because you didn't get any of that. You already saw from a frame oh, well, they're cut. Oh, well, he's cut. And well, he's not making it. It's well, shit, man. Now I already know who's been cut. Especially if you're me who did not look at because last Tuesday at 7 p.m. was the deadline for the 53-man rosters. So technically, if you saw the sheet of the Dallas Cowboys, rosters, you've already been spoiled for the following week. So, a bit odd of how they made an extra episode for this. They couldn't just shove it in because, I know how long it takes to shoot and edit videos. I know that. But I remember back in the day, Hard Knocks would be showing a dude running across the street of the facility of a team into the editing bay, getting it going to make sure it comes out within a couple hours. They worked harder on that. Didn't see any of that this year. Felt a little, I don't know, I just felt like there's a lot of emptiness in this Hard Knocks. A lot of stuff that you're this isn't Hard Knocks. This is just, I don't know what it was. It was just kind of soft, weak, not very hard-hitting. And maybe that was their intention, but I always liked Hard Knocks because it was you saw the nitty-gritty. I remember the best one that I've seen recently, this is when I started watching it, was the Cleveland Browns one. That's when you had Baker Mayfield. Hugh Jackson was there. He was the coach back then. Obviously, the next season he got fired. But you actually saw the cuts, the emotion come out. That was a much better Hard Knocks. And then it was the Raiders, which was, for me, also a letdown. You didn't see much of Gruden, who was obviously a character and just a personality in the NFL that you want to follow more. Or even Mark Davis. You barely even saw Mark Davis that much either. Then you went to the joint one with the Rams and the Chargers, and that was also kind of weak because they covered two teams. So you couldn't really get into depth with one team, and also it was a COVID year. They had a lot of restrictions back then, more than they do today. And this year with the Dallas Cowboys, again, very sparse and very sprinkling, very conservative with the Jerry Jones, man. Like my biggest gripe with it, not enough Jerry Jones. That is what, for one, anybody who likes the NFL would want to see, and the Cowboys fans would want to see. So I want to know, like, Cowboys fans, are you satisfied or are you mad about this Hard Knocks? Because from what I could see, like, there was a little bit of a deep dive, but it's like they barely scratched the surface of what was happening. I remember, like, the first episode. Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones were, like, kind of disagreeing on Dak Prescott and what he should be doing. Like, and that was, like, a good tease. Like, oh, maybe these guys are having a little bit of a riff. Are we going to see any more of that? You don't see any more of that. And that's, like, the juicy things, like, dude, I want to see that. That looks fucking interesting. Let's go into that more. Let's see what that's all about. That's what Hard Knocks is about. And it's like, do they want people to see that? I mean, I would have to assume, I mean, everybody should assume this, like, whatever the Dallas Cowboys, whatever they film, HBO, whatever HBO films, the Dallas Cowboys got to sign off on it. I mean, they have to have that. I mean, they're not going to be putting themselves in a bad light or in murky waters of, like, the Dallas Cowboys do this. It's all being greenlit, essentially, by the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. It has to be. I'm just saying. If you allowed more to be shown, it would have been a much better product, but I get why you couldn't, because you're in the NFL and you're the Dallas Cowboys, and you got to, keep that image. And maybe it's because they are, quote-unquote, America's team, they were more conservative of their footage that they showed. That could be it. That could possibly be it. Just know this, it just made for kind of disappointing TV. HBO, I'll just say that. I'll say that overall, Hard Knocks 2021 is overall a bit disappointing and underwhelming. Whoever it is going to be next year, I hope they're more in depth. Get the really nitty gritty. That's what I love to see. I love that. Even if it's a team that I don't even like. Like, I watched a docuseries, a 5-part docuseries on the Dallas Cowboys that I don't even give a shit about. But since it's football, and they played other teams like the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Jaguars, and that was it basically. I wanted to see more of that. And also, like, they put in footage like that was at the very beginning of the Hard Knocks of training camp. Why didn't they just have that in the beginning? That would have been much. You would have had much more depth on the characters, before that. And I get it's like to reassure you of where they came from and who they are and their struggle and their journey, for you to remember that. But I feel like it would also have been better for me to, get more attached to Jaquan Hardy or Isaac Alarcon or Azur Kamara, to name a few characters, like Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, who those two are, I mean, like, obviously they're going to be a lock to start the season, so, like, they're not really the main focus of the show. They do pop in here and there. Like, you got to remember, like, oh, that's Dak Prescott, or that's Ezekiel Elliott. They're good at football. Yeah, we know that. We've been watching them for like 5 years, 4 years. However many years they've been in the league, we've been watching them. We know they're good. We know that. So it's like there's a lot of things that they could have done better. Again, more Jerry Jones, the nitty gritty, and just, I don't know, not so much fluff. Lose the fluff, Hard Knocks. Lose the fluff. Get to the nitty gritty. That's what we want to see. Maybe next year. Anyway, moving on. Fantasy football. The draft happened. I picked last. The luck of the draw. Some might say the no luck of the draw. I was the last pick in a 12-person league. And I was like, okay, I know I'm down, but I'm not out yet. I am not out. I'm going to be able to do this. I can, got to focus. So when draft day came, which was last Sunday, it was Sunday, 2 p.m. I still don't have a name for my team yet. I got to try to get that soon, before tomorrow, or before the games today. So, I'm going to name you my team just to see, what we got. Who I'm dealing with. So, again, I drafted 12th. My starting team, my offense is, my quarterback is Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks. My first receiver is Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs. Second receiver, Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills. My starting running back is Josh Jacobs from the Las Vegas Raiders. My secondary running back is Mike Davis from the Atlanta Falcons. My tight end is Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons. My flex is Michael Pittman Jr. from the Indianapolis Colts. And my kicker is Matt Prater from the Arizona Cardinals. And my defense is the Washington Football Team. And the bench players are Melvin Gordon III, Matthew Stafford, Robert Tonyan, Jalen Waddle, Cole Kmet, and Carlos Hyde. Now, again, I picked last, but I gotta say, man, my starters are not terrible, I think. I mean, sure, my first 2 picks were wide receivers. Most people would be like, why would you do that? But I think that the league is if you've been watching the NFL for the past, 4 or 5 years, receivers are becoming the new big-time threat. You can just look at, Tyreek Hill's numbers, Stephon Diggs last year, before he got hurt. The tight ends are also, blowing up. Now, I couldn't get Travis Kelce. There's no way I would have been able to get that with the 12th pick again. Now, the benefit of being the 12th pick is you get back-to-back picks. Then you got to wait 22 other picks to get another player. So that was tough. I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. I got nobody yet. I went 2 rounds with no running back because basically I went because I go last, so I got to wait. But I was happy that I got Kyle Pitts. I might be a little bit high on him, but I've seen footage, not film, of him in Atlanta, in Florida when he was in college. I'm like, this guy is legit good. I know people like to talk people up, on NFL Network or ESPN, but I saw this guy's highlights. This guy is really good. He's good at catching the ball, running after the catch. I'm excited for my team. I think that I got a good team, and I saw the draft ratings after. I got a C+. I was actually ahead of a lot of people that drafted ahead of me. Not a whole lot, but maybe 4. But I was I'm happy about my draft and my team. I think it could have gone a lot worse. I thought it would have been, like I said, a lot worse. I thought that I was gonna get nobody's scraping the bottom of the barrel, but I thought I ended up doing pretty well. And I'm excited, man. It's been a couple years since I've done fantasy, and we already got a wager going of the winner. I looked at my first matchup, and I'm not looking too good, I gotta say. Okay, maybe not too good. I'm looking okay. I'm looking decent. I'm projected to lose, which is not a good sign. But I'm not by much, though. I'm projected 120 points. My opponent is projecting 123. So I'm not by much, but I never like to see the projections. I always get nervous, and I'm like, should I start this person? And you always got to go by the matchups and see who they're playing. It's oh man, this is what I love, though. We're back, baby. I'm back. Fantasy Alex is back. He's back, and he's ready to take the league by storm. The last pick of the draft, the last person to pick a pick in the draft, me. I'm going to try my very hardest to make the playoffs. And if I don't, I can just always fall back of, well, I had the last pick of the draft. This is expected of me already. I'm already expected to fail. But now I got to prove people that I can win. But I'm also going to be well, I was last pick of the draft. You got to remember that. That draft, again, was torturous. Man, I've never picked that low in a fantasy draft. I've never picked that low. Ever. And it's not fun. Let me tell you this. If you do fantasy in the future, and you do pick the last pick, good luck. Because it is pure agony. And it is pure patience and waiting. You have it's almost more pressure than picking first. Because first, it's pretty much a lock on who should be picked first. When you're picking last, and so many other players are off the board, you're just like, oh my god, what do I do here? I was confused. I was just like, I mean, it was like winging it. I was basically winging it. And I had to like draft people lower than I thought that were, I thought that they were actually higher ranked, but they were put lower, and vice versa. It was a crazy draft. Very stressful, very agitating, very, again, like I said, inducing agony. But I did it. I have high expectations for myself. But again, I was the last pick. So we'll see how it goes. All right, that's going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, you can find this podcast, Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva, on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcast, I encourage you to leave a rate and review. Rate the show, star it, write a review if you want. Let me know how I'm doing. I think I'm doing pretty well, but I would also like some feedback. And if you listen to on or watch on YouTube, maybe have it as a tab in the background. Give a like, give a comment, subscribe maybe if you haven't done that. That's always appreciated. I want to keep doing this. Again, I love doing this. This is so much fun. I love podcasting. It's a lot of fun. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing it. If you'll have me, if you enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. I mean, I'm going to do it regardlessly, but if you do enjoy it, let me know. Let me know. That helps a lot. That does wonders. Hearing other people's opinions, whether it be great, good, bad, okay, it's a good thing. As long as I'm getting some feedback of what I could do better, what I could change up, whatever fits the show better. Maybe a guest soon. I want a guest soon, actually, real bad. It's just scheduling. Scheduling is going to be, it's not a bitch, but it is annoying at some points. Like, I just, working schedules and all that. Release dates, I also don't want them to be, I don't want to bank an interview either. Like, I don't want to do like an interview like last week and have it come out the next week. I don't know. It feels kind of like weird. It's like we're not talking about like current things. I always want to make this podcast as current as possible, as much as I can. I don't want to be like out, like feel like I'm talking about stuff that happened last week and it's like, the new episode. Like, I don't know. That's always kind of like a barrier or like what's the word? It's like it's not a structure. What is it? Obstacle. There it is. That's always one of the obstacles that you have to deal with when you do a podcast. But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys back next week.